What's up YouTube, welcome back to the game room. Today I'm going to do another Magic Commander video. It's going to be about my latest deck, this being the 5-color Planeswalkers deck. Super Friends. So first, before I'd like just an update on the channel. These Magic videos don't seem to be doing as well as the video game videos. I have no idea why. Anyway, I think this one might be quite popular, so we're going to try it. Who doesn't like Planeswalkers anyway? As I say, also before we get started, I tried to sleeve this deck in Gamegenic sleeves. So Gamegenic sleeves, for those people that don't know, they're like double packs of sleeves. They come with 2 sets of sleeves, so you get the inner sleeves and the outer sleeves in the same pack. I wouldn't recommend these sleeves, unfortunately. They seem to develop marks on the back. I've only been using them for like a month, and they seem to get some marks from minor use on it. Anyway, I wouldn't recommend those. I'd probably go back to using the Dragon Shield ones. Anyway, so today's featured deck is going to be 5-color Planeswalkers. So my commander is this thing. So this is the Prismatic Bridge. This is it's from Kaldheim, so they're like double-sided cards. You aren't going to be using the other side of this in this deck, but it will be cool for other decks. So this is the deck. This is basically the commander. So it counts as a legendary enchantment. So it's basically Woebog to cast. And it basically reads, in the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. So this basically creates quite a lot of value. You can get anything. You have some ways to manipulate the top card of your deck. Some of the planeswalkers can manipulate the top card of your deck, like things like, say, Jace, the Mind Sculptor, can basically put cards back in the order, and you can fix the order. But if not, you're very likely to get some good value out of this. It's either going to hit a planeswalker or a creature. I will also show the other side of the card for people that are more interested in that. So the other way is Asaka. This is God of the Tree for 1 and a green and a green. It's a legendary creature. It's a god. It basically has vigilance and taps a mana of any color. And its other legendary creatures you control have vigilance and 1 mana of any color. So I basically think if people are playing it this way, they're basically building a god deck. But like, yeah. So basically this way up is the value side. I say this side up was in the recent Nitpicking Nerds video, and I believe it got a B on the ABCD tier. Anyway, so that's the Prismatic Bridge, that's the commander. Anyway, we'll start with the creatures. There are not very many in this deck. And as I say, with a Planeswalkers deck, you're basically looking at creatures, but you're not actually playing a large amount of creatures. You're basically looking for things that protect your Planeswalkers. So you're basically looking at removal spells, and the planeswalkers are generally the ones that protect themselves, that generally make creatures to defend themselves, as you need ways to defend your planeswalkers, as you're going to invoke a lot of people attacking you, because these planeswalkers basically they can dominate the game. I remember when planeswalkers came out in Lorwyn, for instance, and the excitement at the time was like good. So my first planeswalker was Jace, the original Jace. Say he's not in this deck, but there are other versions of Jace. Anyway, so Jace was the original planeswalker I opened. Anyway, so here are the creatures. So we'll start with the creatures. So we've got, say, this is I used this in the deck. I've got the double face cards. It's easy to think. So this is Nicol Bolas, the Ravager. So it's 1, a blue, a black, and a red for a 4/4 flyer. When he enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, and then for 4 blue and black, he exiles him and he transforms into a planeswalker. So this way up, he's comes in with 7 loyalty. He's +2, draw 2 cards, -3, 10 damage to target creature or planeswalker. -4, put target creature or planeswalker from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And -12, exile all but the bottom card of target player's library. I've yet to do the ultimate on it, but he's cool. And I like him. I like Nicol Bolas, so who does not love a dragon and planeswalkers? So he hits 2 buttons. And then we go on to the other creatures. So I mean, this is Deep Grove Skate. He was from the Commander deck of the time, which is Commander 16, so he's been out a while now. And he's a 3/3 for 4 blue. When Deep Grove Skate enters the battle, double the number of each counter on any number of target permanents. So he's basically like a double. He's like a doubling season with attached to a body. He's not really. I don't really see him as a creature. He's more like a spell, to be honest. But this is the Deep Grove Skate. Then we go. So this is a versatile one. So this is Spark Double. He's basically like a creature or a planeswalker. So he's basically he's like a clone. He's a 3 blue. He enters the copy as a copy of a creature, a copy of a creature or planeswalker on the battle. Except it enters with an additional counter, an additional loyalty if it's a planeswalker, and if it is legendary, this permanent isn't legendary. I remember having one of these in the in the pre-release of the time. I think I had Spark Double, and I had Liliana and Bolas. I remember from what I remember. So that was one of my better pre-release decks. Anyway, this is Spark Double. Then we go on to the only one I have to proxy because I couldn't find one. So this is Arena Rector. So this is effectively like Academy Rector. It's a 2/1 body, and when he dies, you may exile it to search your library for a planeswalker and put it into play. So that basically encourages people not to attack you, and you can get various like very expensive things. You can get like Ugin or Bolas or something. And we go for more creatures. So this is the Phyrexian Vaughnclicks. It basically acts like this is the Phyrexian one. You can get an English one, and there's other versions of this, but this is the one I have in this deck. I've got the other ones in other decks. It basically acts as like a doubling season. So it basically doubles your counters. It halves your opponent's counters. I believe it also has haste and trample as well, but I can never remember what they do. Anyway, this is the Phyrexian Vaughnclicks. He's just cool. So then we go to the last creature in the deck. I think there was 6 total. So this is the ubiquitous one. This is Attracts a Creator's Voice. So it's green, a white, a blue, and a black for a 4/4 flying, vigilance, death touch, and lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, it proliferate. So if people that don't know what proliferate is, it's a mechanic that came out at the time and says that you choose any number of permanents and or players with counters on them and give them another counter of each kind. So you can do it on your opponent's things if they've got minus counters, and also basically it basically enables you to grow your planeswalkers. It triggers in your end step. Some of these kind of effects. There are a lot of effects that trigger in your upkeep, whereas this is one that triggers at the end of the turn. As I say, this is also another good option for a Planeswalker commander. So this one is, if you want to play a 4-colour Super Friends deck rather than the 5-colour version that I'm featuring, I believe this is a good alternate commander. It's also just a good card in general. Even if you aren't playing Planeswalkers, you can do various things with counter-based synergies and other stuff. It's just a good card in general, and it's also on the expensive side and could do with a reprint. Right, now we'll go on to the Planeswalkers themselves. So we're going to start off with the single-coloured ones, and then we'll move on to the other ones. As I say, there's about, I think it's 20-something in the deck. Anyway, we'll start with the colourless ones. So we go with Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. So this is the alternate version from M21, the full art one. So I like Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. He's one of my favourite cards. I believe I've got lots of different art ones. I featured the other one in 2 of them already in 2 of my other videos. Anyway, so this is Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. He's 8 mana. He's colourless. So he's so he comes in with 7 loyalty, and his +2 is deal 3 damage to any target. Then his minus is exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less that's 1 or more colourless. So it basically gets rid of all the problematic things like enchantments. It's not very good against artifacts, coincidentally, because they generally aren't coloured. But as they say, it gets rid of enchantments, it gets rid of creatures. The ultimate is -10 loyalty. You gain 7 life, draw 7 cards. Then put up to 7 permanents from your hand onto the battlefield. I resolved this the other day when I played it. It generally won me the game. It enables me to put at least 6 walkers onto the table, and then basically enable me to create a board which my opponents just can't deal with. Anyway, that's Ugin the Spirit Dragon, one of the best cards in the deck. Then we go on to the other ones. So this is Khan Liberated. We say he's in a lot of my decks as well. I've featured him before. Anyway, so Khan does plus, comes in with 6 loyalty, +4, target player exiles a card from his or her hand, -3, exile target permanent, really good against lots of things. And then for 14, -14, you can restart the game, leaving in exile all non-aura permanents, exile with Khan, then put them onto battlefield under play. I mean, see, most people don't like the ultimate. They don't generally like restarting the game in Commander, so it's like down to you whether you or not. I haven't yet to do it, but like you have the option. That's Khan Liberated. Then we go on to the blue, the color. So I'll do the mono-colored planeswalkers. So we start with the best planeswalker is Jace TMS, or the Mind Sculptor, where it's generally shortened to Jace TMS. It's a 2, a blue and a blue. It comes in with 3 loyalty players. So +2 is look at the top card of target player's library. You may put the card on the bottom of that player's library, which is it's comparable to, it's another blue card. It was a 5 mana blue card. It's Fate Seal, I believe it was. And you've got 0 mana, which is draw 0 loyalty, sorry, is draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of the library in any order. So that's effectively a brainstorm, and it's generally the default option, which most people do with the Mind Sculptor. It also has good synergy with the Prismatic Bridge, as you can put the cards you don't want to have to cast on top of your library, and then you basically put what into play for free with the bridge. So you've got -1, return target creature to its owner's hand, which is effectively unsummon. You can also do that on things like Deep Ghost Skate and stuff like that to get another go with the ETB. And then you've got -12, exile all cards from target player's library, then the player shuffle his hand into library. So that basically probably wins you the game. Well, it basically kills one player. Anyway, that's Jace the Mind Sculptor. And we go on to other forms of... Oh, I'll do the other Jace next. So we've got other Jaces in the deck. I mean, say the power of the cards from the main sets are generally higher than what. So some of these some planeswalkers have been printed in ancillary product, which is like dual decks and stuff like that. The power of the cards, the planeswalkers in the dual decks, are generally not as high. So generally they seem to cost 1 or 2 mana too many. And when you say with a planeswalker, you basically want to look at the effects and see if you think they win you the game or not. Generally, the cards that win you the game are worth playing on their own, and then you need protection for your planeswalkers. So the planeswalkers that protect themselves, like that generate either they kill things on one of their abilities, or protect themselves by making more creatures. I mean, as I say, I haven't got round to putting the tokens and the emblems and stuff. I haven't got round to sorting them out, and I've yet to put the deck on Moxfield, which because I've only had it for about a month. As I say, I'll get round to doing it, and I'll link it in the description when it's done. Anyway, so this is Jace. This is the Architect of 4, not the original one. So he basically comes out with 4 loyalty, and for +1, until my next turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, it gets -1/-0. So that's basically good against tokens, so it's like it protects himself. So -2, reveal the top 3 cards of your library. An opponent separates the cards into 2 piles. Put one pile into your hand and the other onto the bottom of the library. So it's kind of like a mini factual fiction. It sort of draws you cards. And then the ultimate, which is one of the better ultimates on one of these. So it's for each player, search the player's library for a non-land card. Exile it. Then that player shuffle the library, and you can cast the card without playing their mana cost. So you basically pick, your play group, you get to see through everyone's library, pick out a good piece. It's even if you don't even want to play the thing and you can exile parts of their combo, you can do it like that. Now we go last Jace in the deck. So we've got Jace Unravel of Secrets. So this is 3 and a blue for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. I mean, say, I remember the original rules on planeswalkers, so you could only basically, when the planeswalkers came out, you could only have one of a named planeswalker on the thing, so they have a subtype on it, so planeswalker / Jace. So I remember when in the thing, you used to be able to play, say you used to, as someone played a Mind Sculptor, which is the 4 mana Jace, and you used to be able to play a 3 mana Jace to get rid of the Mind Sculptor because there could only be one played. Now they've changed the rule and you can have one of each of the varieties of Planeswalker, because this deck before these kind of decks wouldn't work. Anyway, so Jace is a +1 is scry 1, draw a card. And we say anything that alters the top of your library in this deck is quite good because it has great synergy with the bridge. And it's in -2 is unsummon effect is to return target creature to its owner's hand. And the emblem is you get a -8 whenever an opponent casts his or first spell each turn, counter the spell. So emblems, for those people that don't know, so are basically like there's no way in the game to interact with the emblems. There's nothing that currently interacts with the emblems. They're basically like it's like a wizard casting their ultimate kind of spell, and basically once the emblem comes out, there's no way to get rid of them. Emblems are fairly powerful effects. You basically need to stop the planeswalkers before they ultimate and cast the emblems. So most people will gang up and try and stop the planeswalkers ultimating. And we've got Teferi the Temporal Archmage. So this is one of the ones from the Commander deck. I mean, I think this one is really good. It was one of the better ones to release. It's 6 mana for a 5 loyalty planeswalker +1. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put 1 into hand on the other and bottom of the library. -1 untap 4 target permanents, so that can effectively accelerate your mana. And -10, you get an emblem with you may activate loyalty cards of and abilities of planeswalkers you control at any player's turn anytime you can cast an instant. So that's a very powerful ability because normally it's a sorcery unless you have certain ones. This was also one that could be your commander, but it's not in this one. Anyway, I feel this is a good card. Then we go on to white ones. So it's mostly Elspeths. So I'm basically saying, so this, although this deck is a 5-color deck, there's some of the colors are in more popular. I think it's the splash color is definitely red. There's not very many red cards in the deck. Anyway, so green, I think green and white, and effectively the Bant one, I think the Bant cards are more in the deck. Anyway, so this is Elspeth. It's 2 a white and a white for a 4 mana planeswalker, Elspeth. So it's +1, make a soldier token. I say generally the white planeswalkers and the green ones are more likely to protect themselves. As you say, some of the black ones do it as well, but this one does. And it's other +1 is target creature get +3 and +3 and flying till the end of turn, so it gives you a nice little evasion. Although you're not killing people with commander damage though, because the thing's an enchantment, but that's another thing. Anyway, so -8, the abilities for the rest of the game: artifacts, creatures, enchantments, and land you control are indestructible. Now, shame it does not say planeswalker on there, but that's what it does. Anyway, it's Elspeth, one of the best white cards. And we say Elspeth Suns. The next Elspeth is Elspeth Suns Champion. So this is the 6 mana Elspeth with 4 loyalty. As they said, this is one of the best white planeswalkers. I remember playing this in my red-green deck in standard. So it was effectively it was called something like red-green Elspeth. It was a red-green monsters deck with effectively splash white for this and maybe some sideboard cards as well. Anyway, so this is Elspeth Sun Champion. So it's +1 to put 3 white soldier tokens onto the battlefield, which is really good at protecting the thing. And it's any planeswalker that generates like multiple tokens each turn is generally quite good. And then -3, destroy all creatures with power 4 greater. So it's basically multiple smite the monstrous. -7 is you get an emblem with creatures you control of +2/+2 and flying. This is useful for creatures that don't have evasion. Anyway, that was the white section. So we move on to the black section. So they're basically Lilianas. So this is a large Liliana, or Liliana the Dreadhorde General. I think this is one of the best Lilianas in like Commander's style of game anyway. This is not in 1-1. The other Liliana, 3 mana Liliana, was possibly better. Anyway, so this is 6 mana Liliana. Starts with 6 loyalty. Whenever a creature you control draw a card. +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. Good against something like a Voltron or things that have hexproof. And -9 is like each player each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and then sacrifices the rest, which is also a really good effect. Then we go to the original Lily, which is Liliana Vest. This is a promo. I believe this was from one of the precons. I say when I started, this Liliana was probably more played. I used to play this in quite a lot of decks. Now I've gone down to only playing it in a certain couple of decks because I don't think it's as good as I used to think it was. Anyway, so this Liliana is 3 black and a black for 5 loyalty planeswalker. +1, target player discards a card. -2, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top. That's also great. It has synergy with the Prismatic Bridge, and it's like you'll get to cast it for free. And it's -8 is put all creature cards in all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control, which is will generally win you the game. I'm going to say I've got Liliana on my desktop on my PC wallpaper for those that know. Okay, so that was Liliana the Vest. Then we go on to the red card. So we've got one Chandra. So we've got the big Chandra Awakened Inferno. So that's the 6 mana Chandra, so for 6 loyalty planeswalker. I feel this is one of the best Chandras as well. To say I've also got a Chandra mono red deck that I'll feature at some point in a later video. Anyway, so this is the 6 mana Chandra. It starts with 6 loyalty, and this spell is uncountables though, so it's also useful when you're committing that amount of mana to a spell to know it can't be countered. So it's also double red, which is slightly harsher on the mana basis, but I think it's worth it for this one. And this is one of the cards that's also most likely to win you the game as well, due to the first ability. So the first ability is +2. Each opponent gets an emblem with, at the beginning of the upkeep, your upkeep, the emblem does 1 damage to you. So I got generally make multiple of this emblem, and I can basically kill people with the emblem without ever having to attack. And so the minus is -3. Chandra Awakened Inferno deal 3 damage to each elemental creature, so it's basically like a slightly larger pyroclasm kind of style of effect. It does do flyers as well. And then there's the ultimate, which is -X. Chandra deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it. So it's good against things that come back from the graveyard and various other recursive things. Anyway, that's Chandra Awakened Inferno. So now we go on to the green thing, so Garruk. So this is the original Garruk. This is the original printing from Lorwyn. It's the classic Garruk. He's still good. I still feel he's good in most green-based decks. He does lots of good stuff. So he's 2 a green and a green for 3 loyalty planeswalker. He goes +1, untap 2 target lands. So it basically helps it smooths out your land basis. -1 to put a 3/3 green beast token into play. And -4 creatures you control +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn, so that's effective in overrun. And for Sid Garruk, it was also a character in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine was one of my favorite Star Trek series, and Garruk was a great character. He was the Cardassian for those who remember it. And that's Garruk Wildspeaker. And so we move on to more Garruk. So this is the large Garruk. This is Garruk Primal Hunter. So he's 2 a green, a green, and a green for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. So he's +1 is create a green beast. -3 is draw cards equal to greatest power among creatures you control. So that's generally done. It draws you about, I would say, the creatures in the deck aren't particularly large, but it will generally draw you at least 3 or 4 cards. -6 is create a green 6/6 green worm for each land you control. So that's it basically gives you an army on like an empty board, and that's generally good. I like this Garruk. He was reprinted in various commander decks recently. I mean, this is the one from C19. He's relatively cheap now, and I think he's just a good card. I feel he's one of the better Garruks. He draws you cards, which is a good thing, and that's not a huge green ability. It's normally more a blue ability. Anyway, so that's Garruk. I think we're done with all the mono-coloured planeswalkers now, so we're going to move on to the multicoloured planeswalkers. I mean, we might go over the 30-minute mark today. I'll see what I'm going. So this is Oko, Thief of Crowns. So this is one of Wizards' bigger mistakes recently. This card was stupid and got banned in various formats. Anyway, so Oko, for those that don't know, this is also the full art Oko. So this is from Eldraine. So this is 1 a green, a blue for a 4 mana planeswalker. 4 loyalty planeswalkers, sorry. So he pluses 2 to create a food token, which was the mechanic from Eldraine. He +1 target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes a green elk with base power and toughness 3/3. And -5 exchange control target artifact or creature you control with target creature and opponent controls with power 3 or less. So basically you can get rid of their thing and swap it for one of your things. Generally you swap it with the food token and gets rid of it. So this planeswalker is very, 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 very powerful. He is really good and shouldn't well, he's legal in this, but it's in other 1-on-1 formats he's probably more powerful. But he's Oko. He'll draw Wrath. Anyway, that's Oko. Then we go on to Anjani the Unyielding. Now, Anjani, I like cats. I've got a cat deck as well. I'll do that in another video. Anyway, so this is Anjani Unyielding. So 4 green and a white. He plus for 4 loyalty. He +2s to reveal the top 3 cards of your library. Put all non-land permanents into hand, and the rest on the bottom of any library. So he basically digs for anything that's not a land. His minus is -2 XL target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power, which is swords. It's swords to plowshares on a planeswalker basically. And his -9 is put 5+1/+1 counters on each creature you control, and 5 loyalty counters on each other planeswalker you control. So that's a really good one as well. He's not amazing, but I like Anjani. And we go on to some of the more powerful ones in the deck. So we go on to the Teferi section. So this is the Teferi. They're all very good. So this is Teferi, Hero of Dominaris. This is 3, a white and a blue for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. +1, draw a card at the beginning of next end step, untaps 2 lands. -3 is put target non-land permanent into its owner's library further from top, so it tucks everything. That was better when you could tuck people's commanders, but they've stopped that rule. Anyway, it also, -8 is you get an emblem whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent and impermanent controls. Very, very powerful card. Probably one of the best planeswalkers in the game. It says, kill me. And we've got Teferi Time Reveler. So this is a stamp one, so I obviously got it from one of the promo packs. So this is 1 blue and a white for 4 loyalty planeswalker. It means your opponents can only is static, is each opponent can cast spells only anytime they can cast a sorcery, so they can't play instants basically in your turn. So it basically means it locks out their counters and various other instant speed answers for your things. So it's +1. Until your next turn, you may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash, which means your things basically have instant speed. And its -3 is return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand, draw a card. That's Teferi, the Time Reveler. Some people say he also looks a bit like Samuel L. Jackson as well. So that's Teferi, the Time Reveler. We go on to the next one. So this is Dovin Bond. It's another planeswalker. So we got a 2, a white and a blue for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. And its +1 is until your next turn up to 1 target creature gets -3/-0. Its activated abilities can't be activated, so that's a useful ability. -1, you gain 2 life, draw a card. And its -7 is you get an emblem with your opponents can't untap more than 2 permanents doing their untap steps, which is it's like kind of like a stasis kind of effect. I also play this in Drevi as well. Sorry, I was just got my fingers in front of the camera. Alright, so now we go on to Venser. So we've got Venser, so it's a 3, a white and a blue for a 3 loyalty planeswalker. He has +2, his exile target permanent you control and return it to the battlefield under control at the beginning of end step. So that's generally good with the ETB creatures, like some things like Deep Growthscape. This will also be likely to see play in other decks. Generally, one of the archetypes in Commander are Blink-based decks, which have a load of ETBs, which is stuff like Yori and Rune. So this is also more likely to be seen in those kind of decks as well. This is basically played in this kind of deck for that and the emblem at the end. So it also has -1, your creatures are unblockable this turn. It's good if you have a board and you can't actually get through to someone and you need to make them unblockable. It's -8 is you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, exile target permanent, which is really powerful. Now we move on to the green-black section. So we've got Garruk. This is Garruk the Cursed Huntsman. This is also from Eldraine. This is the full art version. So this is 4, a black and a green for 5 loyalty planeswalker Garruk. Its 0 mana is create 2 black green wolves tokens. Whenever this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control. That bit's key because there are multiple Garruks in this deck, and that's a way to give them extra loyalty at not a lot of cost. It has removal on it, so it's -3, destroy target creature, draw a card. Really good. And the -6 is you get an emblem with your creatures you control +3/+3 and trample, so it's like having an overwhelm effect permanently. Then we've got Veraska, the Relic Seeker. So this is 4, a black and a green for a 6 loyalty planeswalker. It has +2, is create a 2/2 black pirate creature token with menace, which is cool. And then its -3 is destroy target artifact, creature, or enchantment, create a colorless treasure token. Yeah, and so that's very versatile. Its -10 is target player's life total becomes 1, which is like a Sorin. I believe this is better than a Sorin, as this creator has 2 abilities on it, which protect itself, and the -3 is also quite good. Even if you don't get to the ultimate, this it creates a better value. Whereas Sorin, I generally feel, will only kill 1 player. I may play it in another deck, but I wouldn't play it in this deck. So that's Veraska. Then we go to the large Garruk. This is Garruk the Apex Predator. This is a 7 mana Garruk. So this is 5, a black and a green for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. Its +1 is destroy another target planeswalker, which is good. They're always planeswalkers in Commander games. So it's a good ability to have. It makes +1, put a 3/3 black beast with Death Touch onto the battlefield, which is also one of the better tokens you can make, as it has Death Touch. It's good. And its -3 protects it, so it's destroy target creature, you gain life equals to its toughness. That's pretty good. And its -8 is target opponent gets an emblem with whenever creature attacks you, it gets +5/+5 and gains trample until end of turn. It's worth bearing in mind this +5 and +5 is basically whenever a creature attacks the player, it doesn't just affect your creatures, it's anyone. So if the opponent is basically marked effectively, and they're going to get killed pretty quickly. Then we go on to Veraska. So Veraska, this version of Veraska is a 3, a black and a green for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. Its +1 is until your next turn, whenever creature deals combat damage to Veraska, destroy the creature. Its -3 is destroy target non-land permanent. And then its -7 is put 3/1/1 black assassin creatures onto the battlefield. Whenever this creature control deals combat damage to player, that player loses the game. These assassins generally don't go through, to be honest, but there's ways in the deck to give them evasion, like flying and that. It's okay, it's not amazing. It's generally played for the minus ability. Then we go on to Bolas's. So this it being the original Bolas as a planeswalker anyway. So this is Nicol Bolas. So he's 4, a blue, a black, and a red for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. And you say he's one of my favourite characters. I feel Nicol Bolas is just ubiquitous with Magic. He's one of the key villains in the game and has been for a long time. So he's got his +3 is destroy target non-creature permanent. So yes, but you have other ways to deal with creature base anyway. Its -2 is like a mind control effect, which is gain control of target creature. And then its -9 is Nicol Bolas deals 7 damage to target player. That player discards 7 cards and sacks 7 permanents. So that's a similar effect to a Cruel Ultimatum style of turn. It only does target opponent, but you can pick which one opponent you want. And as I say, you can repeat. And then we go to the other Nicol Bolas. So you've got Nicol Bolas, the Dragon God. So he's blue, a black, and a red for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. So the static of it's very good as well. As I said, before like Dominaria, most planeswalkers didn't have many static abilities, and I think they did it. I think it came out at Dominaria and War of the Spark. As I say, Nicol Bolas, Dragon God, has all loyalty abilities for all other planeswalkers on the battlefield. So that doesn't just do yours, it does your opponent's as well. Its +1 is you draw a card, each opponent exile a card from their hand or a permanent they control. -3, destroy target creature or planeswalker. And -8, each opponent who didn't control a legendary creature or planeswalker loses the game. So that's a legendary creature or planeswalker. So that is doing. Nicol Bolas is very good. He can basically have a selection. He is basically like one of the best planeswalkers in the deck. But to get full value of him, you need to have other planeswalkers on the board to be able to use all their abilities. But he's just really good. I had him in one of my best limited decks as well, and he won me that pre-release. Alright, so we've done creatures and planeswalkers, so we'll go on to now we'll do the Wrath section. So there's basically, you need to protect your planeswalkers. So there's a various suite of Wraths. I think it's like 20 base Wraths, because you need to wipe nearly most turns to protect them while you're setting up. So we'll start with the some of the more interesting ones. So we've got Pernicious Deed. So this is an enchantment based Wrath. It's a 1 black and a green for an enchantment, and it has X, sacrifice Pernicious Deed, destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with converted mana cost X or less. This is the reprint from the 25th set. Anyway, this basically came out before Planeswalkers came out, so this doesn't blow up Planeswalkers, and it's one of the better style Wraths in this deck, as it can wipe out everything that isn't a Planeswalker. Bear in mind, it won't wipe your opponent will get to keep their Planeswalkers as well. But that's Pernicious Deed, and it's cheap now. It's used to be a lot more expensive. Then we go to more traditional Wraths. So we go Supreme Verdict. So this is the Wrath that can't be, it's destroy all creatures, can't be countered. It's enough said about Supreme Verdict. It should be in most blue-white decks, and it's played in other formats. It's really good. Okay, so then we go Cyclonic Rift. I put it in the Wrath section. It feels like it is. And we say it bounces all the permanents. One of the best blue cards in Commander. I'll speed up now. So we've got Damnation. So this is destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated for black and black. I got that in there. I did Time Spiral Remastered recently, and I was happy to find that in one of my packs. We've got Garruk's Wake. So this is 9 mana. So this destroys all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. So it's a good way to leave your planeswalkers intact, but it can wipe your opponent's planeswalkers as well. There we go, one of the more recent cards so this is from the Kamigawa, the new Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So this is Farewell for a white and a white. So this is like Austere Command plus kind of. So you choose any one or more. Exile artifacts, exile creatures, exile enchantments, exile all graveyards. So it's very, very, very versatile. One of the best cards in the set for Kamigawa. I say I'm also enjoying the new Baldur's Gate D&D set, which is also good. Is it as good as the old Commander Legends? I'm not really sure. I don't have enough experience with the older one to say, but it's certainly good for limited anyway. And there's lots of cool new cards and mainly dragons. And then we've got Austere Command. You know what it does? It's like, there you go. And then we've got Fumigate. So a good way to gain life as well. It's destroy all creatures. I mean, say with the thing, you're looking at some of these Wraths. You're looking at ways to exile creatures as well, because you don't really care about losing half of your thing. So there's basically ways in there to exile. I'll get onto those in a minute. So that's destroy all creatures, gain 1 life for each creature destroyed. It will gain you a nice chunk of life. And we go Cleansing Nova. So it destroys creatures, artifacts or enchantments, all on 1 packet of cards. You get to choose which one you do. And then we've got one of the other cards. So I like this card a lot. So this is Urza's Ruinous Blast. I also play this in my Seaside deck and other things as well. So you can only cast, this has a drawback, so you can only cast a legendary sorcery if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. So the key is it says planeswalker on it, so that's fine. So it's basically exiles all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. It generally will clean the board, but you basically have to think about it, because you won't get rid of the legendary creatures which are people's commanders, but it will be able to kill like a board of tokens or a thing, and it says exile on it, which is also really, really strong effect. Then we have Final Judgment from the original Kamigawa. Well, I think it's from Saviors of Kamigawa, to be honest. Anyway, that's Final Judgment. Says remove all creatures in the game. It's a sorcery speed for 4, a white and a white. Then we go on to other Wraths. So this is Day of Judgment. This is the one from the Strixhaven, the Japanese Strixhaven archive. I got nearly a set of it at the time, so I'm missing, say, 3 cards from it. Anyways, this is Day of Judgment. There we go, Doomskull. So this was one of the ones from Kaldhelm. This is the full art one. It's destroy all creatures, and it's got Foretell, 1 and white and a white, which means you can basically suspend it effectively and pay it for slightly less over a packet of 2 turns. That's Doomskull. And then we've got a Rout, which is a a very versatile card, so it can be like a Wrath of God at instant speed. So basically, if you pay 7 mana for it, it can be a Wrath at instant speed, and it doesn't allow a regeneration again. And it's cheap as well. It was reprinted in what's the set? It was reprinted in various sets. It's not very expensive. And we have Phyrexian Rebirth. I say I'm really sure this one should be in the deck or not, but like I'm playing it currently. I would say this hasn't been as refined as some of my other decks because I've only had it for like a month, so I'm trying these Wraths. There may be some better Wraths I'll put in at some point. I haven't worked it out yet. And we say this is 4 white and a white for a sorcery speed Wrath. It destroys all creatures, then puts an XX colorless horror token onto the battlefield where X is the number of creatures destroyed this way. It can be quite large. Then we got a Chroma's Vengeance. So this is the one from Commander set, I think. So this destroys all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. It also has cycling, so if it gets stuck in your hand, you can discard it and pay 3 and draw a card. There's lots of cards with cycling in the deck now, so they basically have the triomes, for instance. And cycling is one of the best mechanics in the game. Anything where it smooths out the chance of you getting mana flooded, mana screwed, or it gives you more options is a good mechanic. Anyways, this is Descent upon the Sinful, or Descent upon the Fisherman, I believe it might called in one of the nicknames. So it's a 6 mana Wrath. It exiles all creatures and it's Delirium. So if you have Delirium is if you have 4 more card types in your graveyard, so like instant sorcery, enchantment, planeswalker, etc. Put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying onto the battlefield. And we've got the classic Wrath. That's not a real one, it's a proxy, and it's enough said about Wrath. And then we go Obliterate. So this is one of the things in the deck that's most likely to win you the game. It's a fairly iconic card. So this one I got for £1 from the car boot. I found it in a random box of cards at the car boot. Anyway, this one came from the car boot. So it's a red and a red for an 8 mana sorcery. It's Obliterate, can't be countered, and it's destroy all artifact, creatures, and lands that can't be regenerated. So this generally wins you the game. It basically, you cast it and they can't generally counter it, so they can basically use a delay kind of effect on it, which is the most powerful thing they can do. But if you have, say, the Teferi on the table, they won't even be able to do that. And it basically blows up the entire board. It will leave you all your planeswalkers intact, and basically the opponents generally won't be able to do anything. So this was the card that's most likely to win you the game outright, as long as you have a board. As I say, this one is it's kind of a like it's optional really, whether you want to play it. Depends on your play group. I generally play it because it wins you the game on the spot kind of thing. It was like outside, if it didn't have a couple of these words on it and it affected planeswalkers and it didn't say can't be countered, it wouldn't be nearly as powerful. I also play it in my mono red Chandra deck that also has a lot of planeswalkers, because that needs ways to win the game. Anyway, that's Obliterate. It might get you hated, but like in the thing. There you go, that's Obliterate. Now we'll move on to the artifact section. So we have the ubiquitous, we have Soul Ring. Enough said about that card and doesn't need explaining. When we go Chromatic Lantern, so that's Chromatic Lantern, that's a foil one. So this basically smooths out your lands. It gives all your lands tap for mana of any colour. That's a foil one. It was also out of one of my promo packs, which I was happy with. Then we've got some other slightly more interesting ones. So we've got Contagion Engine. This is from the original Mirrodin. No, it's from Scars of Mirrodin, isn't it? Yeah, so this is like it's a 6 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, put a -1/1 counter on each creature target player controls, which is only like a minor, but it gets rid of like various token based strategies. Then it has 4 mana Proliferate and Proliferate again, so it basically enables you to increase the counters on your planeswalkers very, very quickly. The other ability is okay. Anyway, it's Contagion Engine. Then we have Chain Veil. So this is a 4 mana. This is a legendary artifact, and this is has a drawback. But at the beginning of your end step, if you didn't activate a loyalty ability of a planeswalker, you lose 2 life. Big deal. You're going to do that every turn if you have anything on the board, and that's 4 mana. For each planeswalker you can activate one of its loyalty abilities once the turn, although none of its loyalty. Yes, you basically get to do it for free. Activation. Yep, that's Chain Veil. And then we go 3 mana, so artifact, so it's Rings of Bright Hearth. So it's normally this goes infinite with loads of different things. It goes infinite with Basalt Monolith's one of them, but you don't play that combo in this deck because you don't really have a mana outlet for it. And it's whenever you activate an ability, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 2. If you do copy the ability, you may choose new targets for the copy. So basically, you do it with your planeswalkers. It copies their abilities and it gets them to ultimate quicker. Right, that was the artifact section. And we say we go through the. We'll do the enchantments next. There's various few. So we go with Doubling Season. This is a proxy one. I've got loads of in other decks. Anyway, this is Doubling Season. It basically is one of the best cards in the Planeswalkers deck. It's a good card in general, to be honest. It's a 5 mana enchantment. If an effect will put 1 or more tokens into play, puts twice that many. If an effect will place 1 or more counters on the permanent you control, it places twice that many. So it basically grows your planeswalkers quickly on an enchantment. And so now we go to Inexorable Tide. So this is a 3 of blue and a blue. This is a reprint from Modern Masters 2, I think. It's whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. So it's the same kind of effect on another enchantment. So we go other enchantments. So we got Oath of Teferi. This is a 3, a blue and a white. It's a legendary enchantment. When it ETBs, X or another target permanent you control return to the battlefield. So it's good on things like Deep Ghost Gate. And then it has, you may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn. So that's really powerful. Then we go last enchantment. So we've got Maelstrom Nexus. So this is Woburg for this is also a copy from the list that I got recently. So this is the first spell you play each turn has Cascade. So it basically means you're basically going to double, effectively get another spell. So this is another way to be able to play multiple spells each turn that cost you very, very little. So your first, you're going to get a free thing off your off the Prismatic Bridge. And then basically when you cast another spell, you're generally going to get another thing off this as well. So that's a powerful card. Then we go, we're nearly there. We've got the some other spells. So these are more like kind of like various other spells. So this is Ignite the Beacon for 4 and a white. So it's an instant. It's search your library for 2 planeswalker cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So it's just like a tutor. You could play any other tutors. I'm playing this one. It's more flavorful. Then we've got Deploy the Gatewatch. So this is a 6 mana sorcery. So it's look at the top 7 cards of your library, put up to 2 planeswalkers from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. So and it's got Gideon and Liliana fighting against the whatever the thing in the storyline was at the time. Anyway, so this is basically like it's sort of like a collective company. It only hits planeswalkers, but it should hit more often than not. I think they're in mid-20s kind of style in the deck. Okay, so now we go on to this is Tezzeret's Gambit. This is a 3 and a blue or life, so it's a Phyrexian mana symbol. So this is basically draw card, proliferate onto your planeswalkers basically. Yeah, that's Tezzeret's Gambit. It was also the copy from the Strixhaven Mystical Archive as well. So now this is one of the best spells in the deck. This is another legendary sorcery spell. This is Primeval's Glorious Rebirth for 5, a white and a black for a legendary sorcery. So this is return all legendary permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this will get back all your planeswalkers to play. So it's kind of like a Patriarch's bidding for just planes. It's mainly for planeswalkers, but like stuff like Vaughn-Clicks and that will and Attractor will also come back from this effect as well. I wish I could play this in my Cisse deck, but I can't because I'm in the green-white Cisse. Yeah. Alright, so we go on to the land. So this is the last section. We're nearly there. This one video is looking quite long. So it's the normal what I say. If you have the lands that come into play untap, play them. Just try and get the right quota. Anyway, so we're on to the lands. So we go, this is World Tree, so this is from Kaldheim. So this was also one of the best cards coming out for this set for 5 colours. So this is it enters the battlefield tapped on a land, so it taps to add green. As long as you have 6 or more lands you control have tap out 1 of any colour. The other ability on it's not relevant as I'm not playing a god deck. Then you have Khan's Bastion, so this is a colourless land. yes, you don't want as many of these colourless lands in this kind of deck, but I think this effect's worth it. This is also a foil. This is also the might be the promo one. Yeah, it's the promo one from the pre-release kind of weekend. And so it taps for colours and in 4 mana proliferate. Then we go buddy lands, so there's a full cycle of buddy lands. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we go shock lands, full cycle. So 1, 2, that's foil 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we go into fetches. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we go triomes. I mean, to say before I start with the triomes, I've got to say I've got the newer triomes are now available. So I don't know if this is the correct quota of if this balances the color requirements. So I might need to look at it a bit more. But currently, say I'm playing all the old triomes. So there's a full set of the old ones: 2, 3, 4, 5. So those may be the correct ones. I'm not sure. I'll look into it a bit more. I'll update the deck when I get to it. And then we go to the 5 colour lands. So you've got the ubiquitous ones. You've got City of Brass. You've got Command Tower. Mana Confluence. And Reflecting Pool. I think I've actually got foil one of those. I probably should put that in anyway. Anyway, say I've been going on now for nearly about an hour. So anyway, I'll keep doing these commander videos. Hopefully we'll get to more like around the 100 kind of views at some point. Anyway, so this was only one of my commander decks. I've got another. So I'm currently at this was my 42nd commander deck. It's there. I've got a lot more decks to feature. If you check out the other videos that I've done. Anyway, so I'll keep on doing them. I'll try and do probably one a month. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please please subscribe. It helps with the content. Anyway, thanks very much. See ya. Bye.